Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sampson, Jim Jonas for Veterans in Politics. Today we have a special show. We're going to go through our endorsed candidates for the general election 2022. Probably give you a little bit of idea how we arrived at endorsing these candidates. And first of all, I'd like to say that this show is sponsored by Patsy Brown, who's a candidate for the Clark County Public Administrator. Jim, you have any rants?
Yeah, just one real quick. And the only reason why I'm going to do this rant is because I believe it ties directly into how we, at Veterans of Politics, come to our conclusions on who we're going to endorse and not endorse. And we could talk a little bit about the process and how we go about it. But just real quick, I want to get into something that was brought to my attention about a month and a half ago, and it's actually something that unfortunately isn't being covered enough in the news. So, Brett Favre, people who don't know who Brett Favre is, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, very famous individual. He won a Super Bowl. He played with the Green Bay Packers. He played for the Minnesota Vikings, the New York Jets. Like, he tried to retire like 20 times, kept coming out of retirement. Anyway, he's originally from the state of Mississippi. His net worth is $100 million, okay? And so he has a very close tie with the governor of Mississippi. So his daughter, their volleyball team wanted a new volleyball arena, okay? So Brett Favre calls up the governor of Mississippi. So the governor of Mississippi and Brett Favre come up with this plan to use $1.5 million out of the Health and Human Services Fund in the state of Mississippi to fund this volleyball arena. Okay, well, first off, Mississippi is the poorest state in the country. And, excuse me, Brett Favre being worth $100 million, he could have just wrote a check himself. But no, he wanted to use his political ties so he wouldn't have to pay for it. And so now, individuals that really, truly need that money, that are in that system in the state of Mississippi, are out $1.5 million. When this man could have just wrote a darn check. And this is a thing that frustrates me about people that just arbitrarily vote one political party or the other. Right. Now, I'm a proud member of the Republican Party, but the Republican Party has, in a sense, run the state of Mississippi for as long as anyone can remember. Mm-hmm. And for the governor to be willing to work with Brett Favre so his daughter could get a volleyball stadium, mm-hmm. really, or a volleyball arena. Mm-hmm. So they basically just stole $1.5 million from people who really need it. Yeah. And this is what I think you and I have been talking about for years. Like, you don't just vote or endorse people because of their party. It's the quality of the individual. And obviously, the governor of Mississippi and Brett Favre, in my opinion, as much as I used to be a huge Brett Favre fan because I'm a huge football fan, that man should be in jail. Yeah. And so this is what happens, though, when you don't educate yourself and you don't realize this stuff is going on.
Well, we're going to knock this out real quick. Yeah. First of all, I thank you for you and Mark flyering the homes in my neighborhood. We had a huge turnout.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. Unfortunately, I wasn't in town, but yeah.
That block party, our first block party.
Yeah.
And we had anywhere between 155 to 200 people coming in and out. Every time I turned around, there was a new face in front of me. So that was cool, and we're going to probably do it every 6 months.
Well, that's good.
Get to know our neighbors, and if you want to do something in your neighborhood, just let me know.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it in my neighborhood.
Right, yeah.
So that was fun, and I want to thank Clark County Commissioner Marilyn Kirkpatrick for helping out with that, and Las Vegas Toilet Rentals for donating 4 porta potties, and who else? And there was a ton of people that helped out with that event. I can't even, name escapes me, but it was a good function, and I really enjoyed it. Although I wasn't really in any condition to enjoy it, but I made the best of it. But anyways, so let's talk about these elections. You want to talk about the questions?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Because there's 3 questions on the ballot.
Yeah. Then question number 1, I don't understand why we're even pushing for that, because all that stuff's already in the Nevada Constitution. It's basically saying that you can't discriminate, due to color, race, sexual orientation. So I'm not exactly sure why that's even an issue, because I'm pretty sure that's already a part of.
Well, I made sure, so I put yes to amend. So I make sure. Was it yes to amend? Yeah, I made sure. I put yes to amend on that one. We might disagree on that, but that's how I did it.
Well, I mean,
I did yes, no. That's how I did. I did yes on 2 and no on 3, because I don't believe there should be any open primaries.
Yeah.
If you want to join a political party, join one. I mean, if you're saying that you're independent, then that's your issue. I mean, then why are you going to invade a political party that you know nothing about the candidates running for that office anyway? Let the parties decide who the hell they want to put up. And sometimes I disagree with the party's decision on who they want to put up.
I do,
but it should be a party thing, not an outsider coming in. We got enough problems internally.
Right.
We don't need any additional help.
No. I mean, so for question 3, whether we should be an open primary state or not, one of the things that I continually hear, and rightfully so from a lot of individuals, is there's too much money in politics already. And I'm like, yes, there is. So if you now have an open primary, you're essentially like, why even have a primary then? Like, because now you're asking candidates to run to try to get everybody's vote in the primary, not just their party.
So you don't need a walk list anymore in the primary. Just knock on every door.
And so that's going to increase the cost for the candidates, right? And then, like, we already have enough shenanigans going on with people, both parties do it, manipulating the vote and trying to purge different individuals to make sure that their party has the advantage, right?
And the individual county parties and state parties pushing their candidate, but a lot of the people that are delegates and voters don't even agree with that candidate being pushed.
Yeah. So I think, like, here's the thing. If you want to have an open primary, then why do we even have primaries to begin with? Let's just go straight to the general.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's my feeling on it anyway.
So I'm going to start talking about our endorsed candidates. In the primary, we were involved in the U.S. Senate race and the governor's race. And since our endorsed candidates didn't win, we stayed out of those 2 races. Right. Although I personally don't agree with either party's choice. Yeah. So we stayed out of the U.S. Senate and the governor's race for the general election. But for the U.S. Congress seat, District Number 2, our endorsed candidate is Mark Amade. Amade, I pronounced it right? Amade. Oh my God, my brain, and I've known this man for years, Mark Amade, who's been in, wasn't he what did he hold before he was a congressman? I forget.
I'm not exactly sure either, Steve, honestly.
But Mark Amade has been around for a long time, and he is the incumbent. And we have Veterans in Politics has endorsed Mark Amade for U.S. Congress District Number 2. And for U.S. Congress District Number 4 is Sam Peters. I remember last time we endorsed Sam Peters, and he was not successful. And this time he's made it to the general election, and we hope that he wins his seat. We stayed out of in the primary. In the primary, we stayed out of CD1, and we also stayed out of CD3 in the general election.
Yeah.
So, but for Congress, District Number 2, Mark Amade, and District Number 4, Sam Peters. And then the state races, Nevada Lieutenant Governor Stavros Anthony, who has been around for a long time as well, and he was regent. He was a police officer for 30 years and on Metro, and he was currently the city councilman and mayor pro temp for the city of Las Vegas. So for Nevada Lieutenant Governor is Stavros Anthony. For Nevada Attorney General is Sigal Chattah, who is a bulldog attorney.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I've seen those commercials.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're going after her pretty hard. But.
And I think that's what we need for Attorney General, because the Attorney General that's currently in that seat, in my opinion, is weak.
Yeah, I think so too.
And there's too many shenanigans going on with him.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't even think he should have qualified to be our state top cop, so to speak, because he was arrested a couple times, you know.
Yeah.
And wasn't he convicted of those arrests as well? I believe he was. But
yes, he was.
He was convicted. So only in Nevada, baby.
Right.
You know, speaking of that, you know, this whole election we had one assembly candidate robbed the bank. Then we had a public administrator who committed murder.
Right.
And then recently, and my condolence to the Spearman family, her son, you know, who's running for Pat Spearman, who's running for mayor for North Las Vegas, her adopted son did an attempted murder.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just crazy how, I mean, can't people just, I mean, Pat Spearman had no control over what her son did.
Right.
But for the others, I mean, you have a window. Can't you just like keep your nose clean in that window time?
Right. Yeah.
Because you got everybody looking at you.
Yeah.
You know? But anyways, for Nevada State Treasurer, we have Michelle Fury, who was our legislator in the state assembly. She was a city councilwoman. She was the mayor pro temp, and I'm sure that she'll do her state well in the state treasurer's office.
Yeah, I think so too. I wanna actually chime in on Michelle Fury. I really like Michelle. I think she's someone that you know, if you go back and you watch our endorsement interview on her, I was pretty harsh on Michelle. I asked her some really tough questions, and she handled them just really well. And the thing I like about Michelle, and there's certain people that maybe don't like this about her, but it's something that I think is very important for someone who's going to represent the state, is that she has her set of convictions, and she's she's developed these over the years by talking to her constituents and really being out in the neighborhood. And she's not one of those people that a lot of politicians will like to go, oh, well, no comment, or, oh, I need to look into that a little bit more. But Michelle has formulated her opinion on a lot of things, and they're based on a lot of careful research and deliberation. And I just want to say, I really hope that Michelle wins that seat, because I really admire her, because a lot of people would not have answered the questions I gave her the way I did. And so I have a lot of respect for Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle is a good catch, and I hope that a lot of the voters see that and vote her into office. I think she'll make a good Nevada State Treasurer. Moving right along, for Nevada Assembly seat, District number 28, we have Ruben Da Silva.
Yep.
And Ruben, remember when he ran for Congress
Yeah.
against Dina Titus?
Yeah, he ran as an independent first, and then he ran as a Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did a very good job. He did a very good showing, and he's an educator.
Yeah.
He's a combat Marine veteran. He's a Purple Heart recipient, and he has charisma when he speaks. He's well educated. I believe he has 2 or 3 degrees. He probably could even be a good regent.
Right.
You know, but Ruben Da Silva is a very, very sharp individual, and I think that he's willing to work across the aisle. Although he's a Democrat,
Yeah.
he's willing to work across the aisle, and he's well spoken. And I wish that the people of Assembly District 28 put him in office. And then moving right along, we have Clark County Commission District number F, or District F, letter F. We have Drew Johnson,
Yeah.
another sharp individual there,
Yeah.
who is going after Justin Jones there. If you watch the commercials, apparently Justin Jones and now Governor Steve Sisolak had a lot of shenanigans going on,
Yeah.
covering each other's behind, you know.
Oh, well.
But that is very interesting. Politics, man, I
Yeah.
swear. You know, you think it's this, you know what happened is people would say, with the corruption that's going on, people say, oh, that's just politics.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you have a child in your house and the child don't know how to speak properly.
Right.
You're going to say, oh, that's just Billy Bob, or that's just Janie. No, you're supposed to like try to train that child to speak correctly, right?
Yeah.
Give it some tutoring, maybe some classes, help it speak correctly. That way it won't go through life talking that way, and people make fun of that child, you know, and that child don't advance their life and getting a good job, blah, 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 because of their lack of speaking ability. So it's the same thing in politics. If you keep saying, oh, that's just politics, then it's always going to continue to be this sucky, corrupted, swamp-ridden atmosphere, because nobody wants to go in there and actually change it to make it better, you know?
I've been saying it forever, like, and you put it perfectly, like, you can't blame a politician for being a politician until you hold them accountable.
Exactly.
And trust me, if enough people stop voting for that politician, that's their livelihood. That's their job. So you literally, like, you're their employer.
Yeah.
And if they're not doing their job, your vote is a vote to fire that individual.
Mm-hmm.
And you get enough people that believe that way, and you can do it if you stay involved enough. and really hold them to the fire. And that's one of the reasons why I respect you so much, is because you're like, no, I'm not going to let this go.
Yeah, thank you for that. For Clark County Commission District G, we have Billy Mitchell and another fighter, and I hope that he does well in his race as well. He has a tall hill to climb, though.
Yeah, he does.
You know, going up against the former mayor of Henderson.
Yeah.
So, and then moving along, we have Clark County District Attorney. We chose to endorse Timothy Treffinger. Now, you know, his opponent, we've been endorsing ever since we've been endorsing his opponent's wife.
Right. Yeah.
when she first took out incumbent Sobel. And then Wolfson decided to become a city councilman, and we endorsed him. Even his whole tenure of district attorney and the special, the appointment process that he had, we supported him. And when he became district attorney, when he was going for retention and the election, we supported him. But this year, we decided to go with Timothy Treffinger. And a lot of people don't understand that this is the first time a Republican had the gonads to face him, because Wolfson, Democrats try to take him out. His own party affiliates try to take him out twice, with Robert Langford and Ozzie Fumo, twice. But what does that tell you? If your own party affiliates, because he's a Democrat, own party affiliates try to take him out in two separate elections, but they failed at it for one reason or another. But this is the first time a Republican challenger decided to go after him, and this will be the first time anybody. Any party other than a Democrat has an opportunity to vote for a district attorney. So now this is the first time in 10 years a Libertarian could vote for a district attorney, Independent American could vote for a district attorney, a non-party could vote for a district attorney, a Republican could vote for a district attorney. This is the first time in 10 years any party other than a Democrat could actually say, I want that guy to be my district attorney. Because before, no parties had a choice to pick their district attorney, because it was all done in the primary. Yeah. You know, that's why the primary is closed, right? Right. Yeah. It was all done in the primary. So only Democrats could pick somebody for a district attorney. And this is the first time in 10 years other parties could be involved in this process. So, you know, my hat goes off to Timothy Treffinger, and I wish him well. And you know what really, really irks me with Steve Wolfson is that he has the audacity to go and support somebody over another person. For example, he's supporting Daniel Pepperchaya, who's our endorsed candidate, and I hope she does well, over Joe Bonaventure, who's the incumbent judge, publicly on TikTok. Yeah. But yet, when somebody supports his opponent over him, now he has a problem with that. The hypocrisy in politics is astonishing. Right. And the way people hold their personal grudges against one or another because of their endorsement over somebody other than you is just ridiculous, you know? Because a lot of these races, I don't take them personally. Right. You know, I think the races that I really do take personally is the judicial races, because I know what they do. Yeah. But most of these partisan races, I really don't take it personally, you know? Well,
and then the other thing, and I'll make this brief about Wolfson. Okay. I agree with everything you just said. But I got to add another thing too, about taking things personal. So him and Timothy come in. They face the panel just like everybody else. Constantly. Oh, how come you scheduled me at 8:30 at night? You know my bedtime is 8. Well, you sent all that stuff out like a month in advance. Even I was teasing. I'm like, Steve, come on. Do we really need to be this far ahead? And you're like, yep, we sure do. So the whole time he's like, oh, well, it's past my bedtime, but, I'll come in out of respect to you, Steve, and veterans in politics. Then we just go about our normal business, and me and other 2 members on the panel ask him the questions, and we ask the same questions to Timothy, right? He doesn't get the endorsement. Now, he's coming back saying, I have no respect for veterans of politics anymore. And I'm like, well, why would he say something like that? I stayed up past my bedtime to show up.
Sounds like a whiny little bitch.
So I'm like, okay, we ask you the same questions as Tim.
And here's the thing. Who's paying us?
Right.
Are they paying us for a time?
Steve, you should have paid me because, like 7:30 is my normal. But come on, people.
Look here, we do this on our own time, right, on our own damn dime. Right. Electricity costs money. Yeah. The AC was running, that costs money. Yep. Everything costs money. Do we charge any of the candidates a dime?
No.
No. And they should be grateful and appreciative and show empathy and compassion and be sympathetic towards our cause.
Right.
Instead, being a little whiny ass bitch. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
If we were their employer, if they were paying us,
right? Yeah.
Then I get it.
Right.
They ain't paying us shit. We doing this out of the goodness of our damn heart because we believe in the betterment of this community.
Right.
And if you got to go past your bedtime, that person should believe in the betterment of this community.
Right.
Because we're giving them a platform to voice their opinion and state their facts and state their truth. And when they act like a whiny little bitch, I have no respect for them.
Yeah. I should have, I'll make this quick. I should have asked him, well, wait, it's not like you're going to be in a courtroom at 8:00.
No shit. Yeah, according to Timothy Treffinger, his opponent, Wilson, has never picked up a case. Not like his predecessor, David Rogers. I know he picked up at least 3 or 4. The Sandra Murphy one, the O.J. Simpson one, all those are the high-profile ones, but he did pick them up. Yeah. So, he did pick up some cases, but Wilson has never picked up a case. Instead, he'd rather do a reality TV show for the DA's office.
Yeah.
Because you know what? It just boosts his ego.
Yeah.
And it's all about I believe Wilson is ego-driven.
Oh, yeah.
Is ego-driven, and that part is sickening in politics. Yeah. A public servant should not be ego-driven. A public servant should have empathy and compassion and be humble. Yeah. Shouldn't be ego-driven. But, some people look at it differently, and I think it's disgusting. That's why politics is the way it is. There's so many good people out there, and they won't even put their hat in politics because of the swamp shit the way it is. But
true.
All right, moving along. Clark County Assessor, we have Brianna Johnson. Outstanding young lady. She's been in office for 4 years already. She's been in the assessor's office ever since she had the ability to work. So she's been there a very long time, and she has done that office well. Clark County Clerk, we have Lynn Marie Goya. She's been serving the people and making sure that everybody get married, not stay married, but get married. And she's the clerk of the Clark County Commission, takes the minutes, and she's doing a superb job in that as well. But let's move to our judicial seats. And for Clark County District Court Department 9, we have Maria Gall. Now, Maria Gall, she was appointed by the governor, and her name was sent up with two other names. She went through a judicial selection committee panel, which I've had the privilege of sitting on a lot of judicial selection interviews in the past. And I know they go through everything, your medical, your finances, your psychiatric, everything, before they send the names to the governor. But her opponent, James Dean Leavitt, he could not pass an appointment process because he's got a lot going on with him. And although he admits it, then he doesn't, you know what, for example, when he was in Oregon, he hit a flagman. Flagman said he hit him deliberately. Left the scene, got caught. They held him for highway patrol. He lost his license, and he pleaded from a felony hit and run to a misdemeanor. So it was a plea deal that he had. And he was denying it. He was also denying the fact that he attempted suicide. On our show, on our endorsement interview, he said that it was a accidental discharge, but he had the intent of harming himself. And then he started talking about 4 people in his family who apparently committed suicide. But then with the RJ story, he said that it was a suicide attempt. And he was also admitted to a psych ward for several weeks.
Yeah.
So is this judicial temperament, I ask?
No,
this is not just, and by the way, he's not related to the Leavitt family. Yeah. He's a separate Leavitt from the ones that are in the seats of district court right now. So he's a different Leavitt.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to him, like, obviously, I don't think he has judicial temperament. I don't think he should be on the bench, for sure. I wish that, like, he would have taken that suicide attempt seriously and, like, you know, gotten some help. I mean, you know, he's been a regent and stuff, so it's not like, I mean, I haven't asked him. I don't know the man's personal finance situation, but maybe he should work on that. He's been a member of the community for a number of years, so I'm just kind of questioning the motive of why he's even running to begin with.
Me too.
You know, I mean, because honestly, I mean, obviously, I support Judge Gall tremendously. And she's very, very impressive, and she definitely has the knowledge and judicial temperament it takes to continue at that job. But I mean, just as a human being, I'm kind of concerned, like, he just take a step back.
Maybe a mentor for people that are going through emotional, mental
something of that nature.
Instead of trying to become a judge, especially in the district court bench.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
You know, he should not be able to judge others.
Yeah.
You know, he should look in the mirror and try to take care of himself and do some self-help.
Yeah, I agree.
And leave the judging to competent human beings that do have judicial temperament. You know, that don't have a record of running over somebody and ended up in the psychiatric ward and all that. Yeah. So Veterans in Politics has endorsed District Court Judge Department 9, Maria Gall, Gall. So moving along, we have Clark County District Court Department 11. We have endorsed Ellie Rahani. And Ellie Rahani, now Judge Rahani, who also went through an appointment process.
Ironically enough, against Judge Gall.
Against Judge Gall, and Ellie, in that particular process, stood out and beat Judge Gall over for Department 11. And later on, Judge Gall went for 9. But Eli Rouhani also went through the Judicial Selection Committee, the psychiatric, the financial, the medical, and all that stuff. And she was appointed by Governor Sisolak. And there was 3 names sent to the governor. But her opponent, Annie Albertson, used to be called Ioanni Raizakis, Raizakis. Yeah. Now her opponent was, we recently discovered that her opponent had 2 convictions, found guilty of 2 different things, a dealer plate license and something else. I forget exactly what it was. And that she failed to mention that on her application with the Judicial Selection Committee or the state bar. So she never put that on her application. And she also was found to be, there was a judge, Flangus, I don't remember the exact words, but she was sanctioned by a district court judge. Yeah. And that's probably why she changed her name to Annie Albertson, to run away from her past. But your past has a funny way of catching up to you.
It always catches up to you.
And so this person, Eli Rouhani's opponent, is trying to manipulate voters.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bad start from the very beginning. Although there was an article that went out early this morning about that, and I hope the voters pay attention to it, and vote in Eli Rouhani for Clark County District Court Department 11. So moving along, we have Justice of the Peace Department 6. Jessica Goody is who we endorsed, and Jessica Goody's opponent, William Gonzalez, in my opinion, is a POS. The way he treated veterans when he was a family court judge, he never enforced orders, and the veteran brought in contempt of court, and he ignored it. And then he charged the veteran for the other party's attorney's fees and costs. That veteran was not able to see his children because mom kept the children away from him, and because he wasn't getting anywhere with the courts, like Gonzalez's court order was toothless. There was no bite to it, and that veteran ended up committed suicide. Another veteran had an attorney, and when court proceedings go, and a veteran is out of the jurisdiction of the court's supposed to put an automatic stay. You can't move. The case is just stuck until the veteran comes back into the jurisdiction off orders. But then Judge Gonzalez didn't pay attention to any of that. Although there is a Service Member Civil Relief Act that he failed to institute, and told the veteran's attorney, after the attorney says, hey, my client is in Afghanistan in combat, told the veteran's attorney, tell your client to go to a base that there is no firefight, to call so he could save his children. And or else the court's going to give the children to mom. And that alone is sickening all by itself, that you have a judge that's sitting on the family court bench that totally violates federal laws. And then I heard from other judges that he didn't just do this to veterans. He did it across the line to everybody. So that means when he was a judge, he was either stupid of the law, or don't give a rat's ass, or both.
Both, probably, yeah.
And he tried to be, and we got him off the bench in family court. We replaced him with Denise Gentile, okay? And then he tried to come back on the bench again, and I think Dawn Thorne beat him out. I believe that's the judge that beat him out. And now he's trying to come back for the third time for Justice of the Peace, Department 6 against Jessica Goody. And William Gonzalez is a mental failure, lack of legal knowledge, or his ignorance got the best of him, that he totally violates the laws to fit his own personal agenda, which is absolutely asinine. And this guy the state bar should have got involved, the Judicial Discipline Commission, although I did write them about it, but they did nothing because they're useless. That they should have sanctioned him and barred him from the bench completely. But when you don't do that, you have idiots like Bill Gonzalez keep trying to come back, although he tries to deny it. But I wish he will deny it to my face, that he has never done yet. But William Gonzalez should never, ever, ever, ever see a robe and be on the bench, ever, at any specific time. And our endorsement goes to Jessica Goody. I think she'll make a superb jurist, and she'll serve Department 6 and Justice Court well. So moving along, we have Justice of the Peace Department 7, Amy Wilson. And Amy Wilson is very knowledgeable of the bench. She's very knowledgeable. She has, although I have nothing bad to say about her opponent, but if you look at her on paper, Amy Wilson has way more judicial knowledge than her opponent does, although her opponent has name recognition from his mom. But Amy Wilson has way more judicial knowledge than her opponent. And I believe that Amy Wilson will make a superb jurist for Department 7. Justice of the Peace and Veterans in Politics has endorsed her. Moving along, we have Justice of the Peace Department 9, Danielle Pepperchio, is in the prosecutor's office, and she stood out, and she would also make a great jurist for Justice of the Peace Department 9. Going to the municipal races, we have Boulder City Council, Cookie Booth, and you remember the legislators passed a law saying that combined the municipal races with the county and state races now. So it's not odd year, even years anymore. It's all even years. Right. So all races are in all even years now. And that's why we have these municipal races coming up. So we have Boulder City Council Cookie Booth, who we endorsed for Boulder City Council. And she will serve that community well. And we have Henderson City Council Ward number 3 with Carrie Cox. And with that race, she's going up against Trish Nash. Yeah. And I don't believe the audacity of Nash to try to steal our endorsement from Carrie Cox while we're sitting there.
Yeah.
So you had Trish Nash that tried to say that she was endorsed by Veterans in Politics, but she has no documentation to support it. And she did it in our presence. Right. That's some bold crap right there. You know? Yeah. I'm like, that's some like OG move. Right. Original gangster shit. Right. You know? Yeah. And I'm thinking, my God, if this woman is willing to lie blatantly in front of everybody, what is she gonna do behind closed doors? And what she do if she becomes an elected official? Yeah. I mean, how in the world would anybody believe anything that woman has to say? Yeah. You know, it's just asinine. See, this is where we're taking politics. Right. But if you don't call out these lying bullcrap people, then politics is going to be a lying bullcrap way to go.
Yep.
You know, we have to clean it up. You know,
and just on that race in particular, the thing about Carrie Cox that I really like is I remember the first time I met her, and she asked me, you know, where I lived. And she obviously knew I was a part of Veterans in Politics. I was like, well, unfortunately, I don't live in Henderson, so I can't vote for you. That didn't turn her off. And she wasn't contacting me about stuff to do with Veterans of Politics. She was like, hey, what events are going on wherever that I can go to? So like, she really wanted to just attend any event. And then it seemed like every event I was at, she showed up to, you know, and yeah, I've called her up, asked her questions about stuff that's going on with water. She met with John Ensminger, who's the CEO of Las Vegas Valley Water District, and she's always just been very.
Who's my water guy?
Well, yeah, he doesn't exactly want to come on.
Why?
Yeah, he said there's plenty of stuff on YouTube. So anyway, to get off that for a second, just in general, just like she's always out there. And then she's an educator too. I mean, she's a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
And to have somebody that's that involved.
She's a small business owner as well. And she ran for city council in the last election.
Yeah, see, I had forgotten about that.
And she almost took out the incumbent by 2-3 points.
Yeah.
You know? So and she really cares, and she's really involved in her community.
Yeah.
And she also has the support of law enforcement.
And firefighters.
And firefighters. So she'll make an excellent city councilwoman, and one day make an excellent mayor for Henderson. So I wish Carrie Cox well, and I hope that she does become the next city councilwoman for Ward 3. Although, you know, I don't think that race should be what they call it citywide. I think it should be within your ward.
Yeah, see, I've never understood that, why Henderson does that.
I don't know why they do it citywide for, but it costs a lot of money to do it citywide.
Yeah.
Especially when why call it Ward 3? Why don't you just say Henderson City Council?
Right, yeah.
And be done since they're running citywide, you know?
Yeah.
But maybe that's something they could take up.
Yeah.
And get rid of it and make it like how Las Vegas and North Las Vegas have it. You know, they just run for that ward.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the city charter was done so much more current than the North Las Vegas and Las Vegas City Charter. Yeah. And I don't know if Las Vegas was ever that way and amended it. I don't know if that was the case, but definitely Henderson needs to amend that. It makes no sense.
So moving along, although I'm in the pocket of Clark County, not in their pocket, but in the pocket surrounded by the city of Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's always kind of a tough one. Like, wait a minute, I could have swore I was in Ward 6. I'm in the county.
That's what I thought, but I'm in the county, but I'm surrounded. If I come out of my block, no matter where I go, I end up in Ward 6. I'm like an island for the county. But Ward 6, Veterans in Politics has endorsed Ray Spencer, who was retired recently in May from the LVMPD. He was the head homicide detective for LVMPD. He shows up at every single homicide. He was on the show. And ironically, he talked about his father was in jail, was in prison for murder, and he became the head homicide detective on the other side of the prison walls. I thought that was very intriguing. And you know, and I think Ray Spencer will make Las Vegas City Council a Ward number 6 a great place. He believed in the community. Matter of fact, rest in peace, Steve Ross, who used to be the city councilman for Ward number 6, and now currently it's Michelle Fury. And I think Ray Spencer would do a superb job as city councilman for Ward 6.
Yeah, I believe so too. And Ward 6, I'm not saying that Ward 6 is any more necessarily challenging than other wards, because all other 5 wards have their own challenges, obviously. But Ward 6 is one of those that is truly still not landlocked. So there's so much growth going on in that area and so much development going
It's the
on.
only ward that you could actually grow. All the other wards are packed to
Yeah.
capacity. You can't grow anymore.
So you really truly have to have somebody that is, like a Steve Ross.
Visionary.
Like a Steve Ross, like a Michelle Fury. And then with Ray Spencer, I've heard nothing but good things about him. When I talk to like former Metro captains and stuff, they all just love the guy and said the same thing. And like, he's a visionary. He listens to people. He understands what's going on, and he's very intelligent. So he can go talk to people like the stations that are really truly developing in that area and other private industries, and really be able to like match all those pieces together.
And he would be the 4th city council person to represent Ward 6.
Yeah.
The first one was Michael Mack.
Yep.
And then Steve Ross, and then Michelle Fury, and now Ray Spencer. So he'll be number 4 to represent Ward 6, who was the newest ward out of all, and the only ward that you could actually grow in.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of growth out in Ward 6, but my God, the traffic that's coming up in that area
Right.
is just crazy. I remember when I moved out there in 03,
Yeah.
cell phones didn't even work. And going past Ann on the 95, it was all like, oh my God, it's
Right.
ghost town, right?
Yeah.
Now,
You thought you were halfway to Salt Lake City.
yeah, now it's like, Jesus, man, it's just,
Yeah.
California's all over Ward 6,
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, because that's the only place you could actually grow is that ward. And then, it takes us to Mount Charleston too, which I'm closer to Mount Charleston than I am the Strip, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But anyways, so moving right along, Northern Nevada, and I'm not really too familiar with a lot of these candidates, but I'm going to say their name because Paul Jackson, our Northern Nevada chapter president, he runs that area, and they endorsed for Nevada State Senate District number 13, Matthew Butchler, Nevada State Senate District 16, Lisa Kresmer, and I've known Lisa, worked with her in the legislature before and on prior bills, and very, very superb lady, and she will continue to be that way as a state senator. I believe she's making a leap from assembly to state senate. And then we have Nevada Assembly District 24, Dorzell King, Nevada Assembly District 25, Sam Coomer, Nevada Assembly District 27, Carmen Ortiz, Nevada Assembly District 30, Reese Rodriguez Elkins. So those are all the endorsements for Northern Nevada with the help of Paul Jackson and his crew up there. And we really appreciate what he's doing up there to kind of make sure that we cover the entire state of Nevada. And then, I have my personal endorsements. I have to have my personal endorsements. So the VIPI president's personal endorsement, Garland Brinkle, Nevada State Assembly District 1. And let me tell you something about this professor, because that's what he was, Professor Garland Brinkle. Very nice guy.
Yeah.
And I was astonished, and I like to take credit in somehow for him taking out Chris Dyer, who's a foul-mouthed piece of crap, that shouldn't even be in politics anyways, especially somebody that tells a woman go on, a senior citizen woman to go on the table and do funny business, which I really don't want to say what the funny business is, on a live podcast, which is totally disgusting. And that was one of the reasons why I supported Garland Brinkle, because I did not want somebody like a Chris Dyer to represent us in the assembly. And the more I got to know Mr. Brinkley, the more I really admired and liked him. And he's very educated, mild-mannered, humble, and he'll serve Nevada State Assembly District Number 1 well in the legislature. And the legislature covers parts of Aliante in the Northwest, in North Las Vegas. So I wish Garland Brinkley well, and I hope that he does make it. The next endorsement that I did was for Patsy Brown, Clark County Public Administrator. Man, you know what? When I ran for this seat years ago, nobody never knew what a public administrator was.
Oh, I know.
It was like public administrator, dog catchers, like on the bottom. Even they said the judges were on the bottom. No. It was a public administrator that was on the bottom.
Yeah, trust me, because I don't know if it was the second time you had run for it, but the first time you had run for it since I knew you. And this, I believe, was like 2009, I believe. Because me and Deborah, the banker Vic.
Deborah Vic, yes.
Deborah Vic did the show while you were campaigning.
Yeah.
And I used to tell people all the time, yeah, I vote for Steve Sands, public administrator. And they're like,
huh?
Yeah, they're like, what the heck does a public administrator do? So, but now it's in the news a lot.
Yeah, and we all know the public administrator takes care of the property of the deceased that unfortunately does not have wills and trusts and stuff like that. But everybody knows what's been going on in the public administrators. Oh, this is serious business. If a man is going to take another man's life because of negative stories that they wrote about him. We were talking about Robert Tellis, who's the current public administrator, who we have endorsed in the past when he was sane. And you got to be insane to do what he did.
Yeah, I agree.
In some aspect. And but this is just absolutely crazy the way this whole thing shaped up. But you know what? Robert Tellis committed domestic violence back in 2020. His wife says that he threatened to kill her. Yeah. There was a full body camera from the Metro Police in the arrest for an hour. Fox News aired it recently because of what happened with the passing and the murder of German, Jeff German, the RJ journalist. And you didn't hear anything in the paper. You didn't hear any media outlet saying anything about this public official who was elected by the people and who had a governor's appointment to a committee. You didn't hear a word of this domestic violence taking place. Yeah. The media covered it up. They failed to report it, whichever way you look at it. Right. You know, they covered it up, failed to report it. Now, my thinking is this. Now, if this was out in the public, election was coming up this year, somebody would have called up Robert, you know, the establishment party people, would have called up Robert and said, hey, don't run. Right. You got a DV on your record. It's going to come back again. It's already in the media. It's going to come back again to haunt you. Right. We're going to put somebody else to run in your place. And possibly Jeff German probably be still alive today because it wouldn't be a factor. Right. You know? But the media covered it up, and the media is used as a tool to go after certain people or to protect certain people along the way, which that's not the way news is supposed to be. News is supposed to be fair, balanced, transparent, but that's not how it is today. And it's just sad the way news has done a complete 180 to the way it was when I was growing up, a Walter Cronkite.
Walter Cronkite.
You know, what's her name? That Barbara Walters.
Yeah.
You know, they were reporting the news.
Right.
Bad, good, or indifferent. Here it is.
Right.
But now that's just not the way it is anymore. And it's so sad that the media is a propaganda tool for the powers that be, whether they want to hush something or they want to explode somebody and put them on headline, on blast.
If they like you, they don't report it. Mm-hmm. If it's bad. I mean, that's just
or if it's bad for their political party.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is a shame, which is definitely a shame. And I think Patsy Brown has a lot of work to do in that office because the morale is really stinky. And she probably has to take out her sleeping bag and spend a week or two there and not go home till she could get, this office back to the way it was or make it better than the way it ever was.
I really like what she said when we were interviewing her. When I asked her basically like, okay, so you already know there's a set culture in that office. I said, okay, so how do you break that culture? I mean, how do you tell people what to do in order to break the culture? I really like what she said. She goes, first off, I don't tell anybody to do anything because that's not leadership. You ask them to do it and they do it because they want to. And I think that is something that will be refreshing to that office. So I really hope Patsy wins.
Yeah.
Because I think she'll do a really good job. I believe in her a lot.
And moving right along with my personal endorsements, I decided to endorse Maria Parladay for Clark County Family Court Division A. And Veterans in Politics has been subdued in the family court since really, really paying attention to it on a daily since 2016. And I have faced several court appearances because of my personal involvement in family court. We won them all, by the way. And so if I say that this person would make a good family court judge, I'm not just saying it just to say it.
Right.
I'm saying it because I truly believe that Maria Parladay will serve the people of the litigants, especially 65% who show up as improper person without representation of counsel, will serve the litigants well in the family court for Division A. By the way, she's taken over Judge Voy's seat because he retired. But Maria Parladay, she is very energetic. She's very knowledgeable. She'd be a superb jurist on that family court bench, and hopefully could curb some of this kangaroo nonsense that goes on in the family court when judges don't follow actual law. They follow their own personal bias, which is what they call discretion, but I call it a bias. You word it up however you want. It's just not following the damn law, period.
Well, the sad part is that, and this is the thing that drives me nuts, and I'm just going to say it real quick. We all have bias. We're all human. We all have bias. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. When you're a judge, I'm not saying you shouldn't have bias. Of course you do. You're a human being. But you're also an officer of the court. Mm-hmm. And that supersedes your bias.
Yeah.
Just follow the law.
Follow the law.
The heck with your bias.
You can't go wrong if you follow the law.
Right.
You can't be appealed and reversed if you follow the law.
I always say the law is the law. When people are like, oh, well, why would you vote for that judge? I think actually that judge is a Democrat. I'm like, I don't care. The law is the law. They follow the law. They uphold the law. We're all good. Don't care what party they're.
But more and more people are more and more litigants are being educated in the law and understand that, hey, I could appeal. I could have these decisions reversed based on the lack of knowledge by this judge, or the lack of, or the ignorance of going against what the law actually states. So hopefully that alone would make a lot of these family court judges be more responsible and more educated and more respectful for the law, instead of doing their own personal BS because they don't like a litigant for whatever reason, or they like counsel over here, but they don't like your attorney, right. Or because you don't have an attorney, we ain't gonna pay attention to you, period. Right. So Marie Parladay, Clark County District Court, Family Division A. And I have one more personal endorsement, is Lindsay Moores for Clark County District Court, Department 17. Lindsay is a prosecutor, well-educated, and she's down to earth. And that's what we need. We need people that are down to earth, that are humble and have empathy and compassion, but also educated and know how to apply the law and be respectful to all parties before their court. And that right there is Lindsay Moore for Clark County District Court, Department 17.
Oh, and I agree. I like Lindsay a lot too.
But before we end this, I just want to do a recap and name all of our endorsed candidates so people could understand if they came in the program later on. But I think we talked about a lot of these candidates in depth. Yeah. We didn't just say, hey, John, Jake, Robert, Bill, whoa, we endorsed them. We actually gave a presentation on each and how we arrived at the decision for them to be endorsed. And I think people need to know a lot about that. And I wish a lot of judges also explain in their courtrooms how they arrive at their decision to litigants and to attorneys before them. That way they will understand how that judge arrived at this decision, this ruling. And it probably would educate a lot of people. A lot of bad feelings probably be gone because of the explanation. And I wish a lot of judges would actually do that, take the time and do that. And I think you take the 2 minutes out of your day to do that for each case. I think it will make make the judicial bench a better place to be and more respectful. But I'm going to do a recap for the federal seat. U.S. Congress District Number 2, Veterans in Politics, has endorsed Mark Amadei. U.S. Congress District Number 4, Veterans in Politics, has endorsed Sam Peters, who's also an Air Force veteran and colonel or major. State Senate, Nevada, for Lieutenant Governor, Stavros Anthony. Nevada Attorney General, Sigal Chattah. Nevada State Treasurer, Michelle Fury. Nevada Assembly Seat, District Number 28, Ruben De Silva. Clark County Commission District F, Drew Johnson. Clark County Commission District G, Billy Mitchell. Clark County District Attorney, Timothy Treffinger. Clark County Assessor, Brianna Johnson. Clark County Clerk, Lynn Marie Goya. Judicial seats, Clark County District Court, Department 9, Maria Gall. Clark County District Court, Department 11, Ellie Rahani. Justice of the Peace, Department 6, Jessica Goody. Justice of the Peace, Department 7, Amy Wilson. Justice of the Peace, Department 9, Danielle Pepperchio. Boulder Municipal Seats, Boulder City Council, Cookie Booth. Henderson City Council, Ward Number 3, Carrie Cox. Las Vegas City Council, Ward Number 6, Ray Spencer. Northern Nevada State Senate seats, Nevada State Senate District 13, Matthew Butchler. Nevada State Senate District 16, Lisa Krasner. Nevada Assembly District 24, Dorizell King. Nevada Assembly District 25, Sam Coomer. Nevada Assembly District 27, Carmen Ortiz. Nevada Assembly District 30, Reese Rodriguez Elkins. Veterans in Politics President, personal endorsement, Garland Brinkley, Nevada Assembly District 1, Patsy Brown, Clark County Public Administrator, Marie Parladay, Clark County District Court, Family Division A, Lindsay Moores, Clark County District Court, Department 17. I just hope that people pay attention. And you know what? If you forget about this and you want to print it out or what have you, go to veteransinpolitics.org and it's on, just click on endorsements and it's all there. We also have YouTube channels. The Veterans in Politics YouTube channel has many of our endorsed interviews and many of our talk show interviews if you want to learn more about the candidates. And you know what? And we're just here to make sure that people are educated in these races and don't just pick and choose because your neighbor told you to, or your dad told you, or because somebody put out a slate card. Educate yourself. And even with our endorsement, folks, you know, we try to explain exactly why we arrive at these endorsements. But, you know, even with ours, educate yourself. And there's a lot of materials that we put out there to help you arrive at a precise decision on who you want to endorse or who you want to vote for to represent our state of Nevada. And I think it's very, very important that we pay attention and don't go willy-nilly and pick somebody because of whatever. You know, pick somebody because that's the person you believe in your heart of hearts that they'll be the best representation for our state or for our county or for our municipality. And do your homework, you know, because we did. And we expect you to do the same. And when you put stupid people in office, you're going to get stupid results. And that's just the way it is. Jim, you have anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody I want to thank everybody that participated as a panel member. We interviewed a lot of candidates. I think upwards of 300 candidates, and none of our panel members were like compensated or anything. They took time out of their day to give their time to try to make the community a better place. I also want to thank all the candidates that were willing to come in. It's not an easy thing. None of this is scripted, so the candidates do not have any idea whatsoever of what questions are going to be asked or anything of that nature. So that's a very nerve-wracking experience. So I really wanted to thank all the candidates who participated. I also want to give a special thank you to Paul Jackson, who does run our northern chapter, who makes sure that we're also representing the northern part of the state as well. And then, as always, just thank you to Steve for all the stuff he does. A lot of people don't understand all the stuff he does behind the scenes. Like, he's the one that sets up these interviews. He's on the phone constantly. He's getting emails, text messages all the time. Does a great job at keeping us organized and keeping us on point. So obviously, a lot of appreciation to Steve. And with that being said, I just want to leave it this way. Look, everybody, a government that works for you, it takes involvement. You have to be involved in this stuff. You have to start paying attention to this. Don't worry about the commercials. Let the commercials go. Do your homework. Read. Listen to our podcast. If you like our endorsements, great. If you don't, do your own homework. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but we put a lot of time into our endorsement. So please look at our endorsed candidates and vote for them if that's what you want to do.
And when you mentioned about their panel members and all that, I also want to thank Robert Madoff for calling up all the candidates and making sure. And then while we're talking about panel members, we have Frank Friends, we have Giano Amato, Robert Faust, Sandoval, what's her? Talicia Sandoval, Michael Broadway, Leah Yeliana, the ARW president, Stephanie Phillips, and who else did I miss anybody?
I don't think so.
And if I did, Amber Johnson. Yes, Mark remembers that one.
Mark remembers that one. Thanks, Mark.
So if I miss anybody, my apologies. But I just want to make sure, and thank you for bringing that up because it totally slipped my mind. All the panel members that devoted their time, you as well, and you moderated all of them. And then we had the one at Ahern.
So George Harris. Brian
Shapiro moderated. Rob Lauer. Leonard Cornelli. We have a lot of very good people in this community that help veterans in politics be the success that it is right now. And I wanted to make sure that we covered everybody. And Joseph Abrahams with the videographic and all that stuff. And he helped us with the graphics. And I mean, we have a lot of good people in our community. And there's a lot of good people that do a lot of good work to help this organization weed out the bad and bring in the good that are behind the scenes. And just want to make sure that we got everybody. And if we didn't get everybody, my apologies. But I want to make sure that everybody gets recognized and thank everybody. And the viewers and the listeners and the voters as well. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us. And we hope that this was an informative podcast and that an early voting starts today and it will end in 2 weeks. And then we have that dead air for
4 days.
4 days, and then the primary, the general election night, which will be November 8th. And make sure you vote. If you have a ballot, make sure you send it in, and make sure you signed it, and make sure it's the people that you agree with, and don't have somebody fill it out for you. But if you want to call me or Jim, and we could give you advice. And we could give you a personal intro into some of these candidates. And my number is 702-283-8088. What's your number, Jim?
702-517-8975.
And we could also help you out that way, helping you fill out your ballot and call anytime. And we hope that this was a good podcast. And thank you so much, Jim. Thank you. So this is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas for Veterans in Politics. Until next time.